Hello, my name is Bruno. I'm the director of Abics, the Brazilian Instant Coffee Association. And first I would like to thank the Specialty Coffee Association to open this space here to talk about instant coffee. But before talking about how we are promoting the consumption or the increase of consumption of instant coffee in Brazil, I would like first to talk about Brazil in terms of instant coffee. Brazil has the biggest capacity in the world. In 2020, we produce 117,000 tons of instant coffee, which is more or less 5.1 million bags. From those, 95,000 tons we exported, which is more or less 4.1 million bags, and 22,000 tons we sold in the internal market. The last figures that I have of Brazil and the other countries that produce and export coffee are from the Lendl Mills 2017, and Brazil was leading with a production of 104,000 tons and with export of 79,000 tons. We have 6 instant coffee plants, and they are located in the main regions of production of green coffee, Arabica and Conilons. We have in Paraná, Cacique and Iguaçu. We have in São Paulo, Nestlé and Cocan. We have in Minas, Café Campinho, and we have in Espírito Santo, Realcafé. By the way, Espírito Santo is a small state, but it responds to more than 70% of the production of Conilon in Brazil. Espírito Santo by itself, it's the second largest producer of Conilon, just after Vietnam. The total capacity today we have, adding up all the 6 companies, is 133,000 tons of soluble per year, which is roughly 5.7 million bags. Apart from the capacity that we already have new investments, around the $240 to $260 million on expansions and new plants. We have Iguaçu increasing the freeze-dried capacity in Paraná. We have Realcafé increasing the spray-dried capacity in Espírito Santo. We have a new plant of Cacique, of spray-dried, being built and almost finished in Espírito Santo also. And we have, just in the beginning of the construction, the first new plant from Olan, also in Espírito Santo, and is going to be a plant of spray-dried and freeze-dried. Brazil exports more than 110 countries. And with a revenue of more than $600 million for Brazil. But more important than that, Brazil instant coffee is still the product that is open the markets, new markets. Usually most of the markets that used to be tea drinkers and became also coffee drinkers, the first product that came in was instant coffee. And this continued to happen. You see in Asia, where you have the biggest growth of consumption of instant coffee, is already starting also to drink roast and ground coffee. Of course, to export to all those countries, we have to have all the certifications. And we have all of them, and of course the most important, FSC, ISO, the kosher, halal, and also all the other certifications for niche products, for niche markets. Talk a little bit about the share on the exports of Brazil. The instant coffee has roughly 9% of the share, and the green beans, they lead the exports from Brazil with Arabica with 79%, and Canéfora, Robusta and Conilon with 11% of the exports. Talk a little bit about how much is consumed by the instant coffee in terms of quality. The average consumption of the whole of all the industries of instant coffee in Brazil is 80% of Conilon and 20% of Arabica. Of course, most of the products, they are 100% Conilons, and we have some blends with Arabica and Conilon, and we have a few products for niche markets which are 100% Arabica. Despite having all this capacity, all the know-how, the history of the instant coffee in Brazil, when you look at the consumption, it's still very small. Brazil is a country that basically consumes roast and ground coffee. 95% of consumption is roast and ground coffee, and less than 5% is instant coffee. We see a growth in the last 4 to 5 years, and of course this was just because of the work Abics is doing in order to promote and increase the consumption. So having all the knowledge, having the capacity, having the blends, the different raw materials, and the varieties, the diversity that we can have, all the products we have the spray, we have the aglo, we have a freeze, we have extract, coffee oil. We could not understand why the consumption of instant coffee is not growing. It was still a very small consumption. And it is small and not growing. So we had to understand what was missing, what was our mistake, where we're doing things wrong, and how could we improve. So we need to understand better what was the perception of the consumer and to understand what we had to do. So the first thing we decided was, of course, to make a research and try to understand what was going in the mind of the consumer regarding instant coffee. So we started to do the research, and it was very interesting because we find out that a lot of consumers in Brazil didn't even know the existence of instant coffee. When you get into the supermarket, in the shelves, you see roast and ground, whole beans, capsules, you see pods, you see all different types, and the soluble is there someplace in the bottom of the shelves, and very few people realize that was also coffee, and that could be something to be enjoyed. So it was clear that the main problem we had was communication, actually lack of communication with the consumer. We are not giving information, we are not making advertisement, we are not teaching, we are not explaining what was instant coffee. We had even people that use instant coffee in the filter. So that's not the consumer fault, that's the industry fault. So we have to pass the information, we have to pass the knowledge, we have to advise to the consumer how they can explore, how they can enjoy, which moments, with what type of mixes they can do, what type of formulations. I mean, the possibilities you have with the instant coffee, they are enormous. So we created this project, which is called Explore and Enjoy Instant Coffee Brazil. And we make a lot of advertisements, we are making tasting sessions, we are using a lot of internet, we are using social media, we have courses, and we see the people, they really want to try, they want to taste, they bring also new ideas when they see the possibilities they have with the instant coffee. So we made some pieces of advertisement, which I'm going to show you right now. One video, for example, is basically to explain in a simple way the complex process of making instant coffee from the green bean. So we try to make an infographic video, simple to understand. And also the other piece of advertisement is just how people can enjoy instant coffee in different moments, and in any moment, in different formulations, in different mix. So the idea is to take, is not to get the moments that we already have to drink our coffee, but to bring new moments to drink coffee.
Brazil is a country known for its vibrant culture and dynamism. And coffee is at the heart of this rich identity. Arabica, Robusta, and Conalon. Countless blends with distinct aromas and infinite flavors to be discovered, especially when it comes to instant coffee. You are invited to explore the rich variety of tastes, whether it be nature, following a trail with breathtaking views, or in the city, heading to work, where no 2 days are the same. Wherever your day takes you, coffee is there too, making every experience that little bit better. An instant coffee with attitude, distinctive, suitable in any beverage, in any mix or dessert. A coffee that allows you to unleash your creative side in recipes and flavors, offering you unparalleled taste experiences. A versatile coffee. Creative. Explore the variety, flavors, aromas, blends, creativity. Explore this universe with Brazilian instant coffee, the way you want it.
Well, the results are coming. We see on the last 4 years a growth of 2 digits, around 16% in 4 years since we started the project. So it's working. So we still have a lot to do. But there was still something that was missing, was how to better evaluate the instant coffee. How the professionals could talk the same language, how the cuppers, the R&D, when they cup an instant coffee, they don't mix up with methodologies of a green coffee or roasting ground coffee. So the green coffee has the methodology of a cupping, of tasting. The roasting ground, specialty coffee, everybody has their own methodology. And we don't have for the instant coffee. So we decided that we should have this, but we should have something simple. Therefore we decided and we invited actually more than 30 professionals from different areas, from the instant coffee industry, from roasting ground, from coffee shops, baristas, and even scientists linked to the area of beverages and food. And this, we are almost getting to the final conclusion, but basically so far we are trying to separate in 3 categories. We are calling right now, is not definitely, but we are calling excellent, differentiated, and conventional. It doesn't mean that one is better or worse than the other. That's not the idea. The idea is to talk the attributes of each category, because each category is a focus in one group of consumers. So the idea of having this sensorial analysis or this methodology for instant coffee has 2 ways. First is to bring this type of information in a simple way to the consumer, so the consumer can respond, can give a feedback to the industry, and the industry, when they see it in cup, they also can separate, they can define in which category that instant coffee or that group of consumer matches. And in each category you have different attributes, and then we try to work the intensity of each attribute in each category. So that way we have, in a simple way, all the information necessary to decide what coffee or to bring, what type of blend, what type of roasting, if spray, freeze, agro. So the margin of error when launching a new product would be much smaller. So but the basic thing, since we started with this big group of professionals, was very clear for everybody that the first thing that we have is to think about instant coffee when we decide to develop a product or go to a tasting room. That was a big pain for everybody whenever they had to sit and try instant coffee when they are most of the time tasting roast and ground coffee. So this was a big effort for everybody, but was very clear. The first thing that we had to do was to be very clear that instant coffee is a completely different product, a completely different process, a completely different analysis. This is just an example of the attributes and the special attributes, enfim, the way we're gonna separate in each category. We have a set of attributes for that category, and once we have that all together, we're gonna have the intensity of each attribute in each category. So when you go to one type of category, you know that that category will have a set of attributes, and what we're gonna be working is only on those attributes and the intensity of each one. So you already eliminate a big variety of coffee. You already came to the right category. It's just a question of the intensity of the attributes in each category. This is going to be something very easy and very helpful, and hopefully this methodology will be not only for Brazil. Of course, the immediate need, the immediate target is for the Brazilian market, but it's going to be something open for any country, any industry, wherever they are, in whatever country they are. And of course, this is our ambition, that this could be accepted and can be helpful for everybody, everywhere, present and future. Present, everybody knows, soluble is kind of the most practical way to make a coffee. No need of any type of brewing equipment. You can make all sorts of mixtures, 3-in-1, cappuccino, lattes. Usually it's a very competitive price. It doesn't have a spent ground coffee. It's 100% soluble solids. And is also responsible for opening markets. So this is no news. This is the present. This is the whole the history of the instant coffee. What we are looking is for this new instant coffee, the new, let's say, a new era of the instant coffee, which would be bringing to the market new qualities, different usage of raw materials, including different blends, improving the technology. The specialty instant coffee, we already see, I know at least a dozen of companies, most of them in the United States, and they are doing incredible job and making very special instant coffee, some of them mixed with microground roasted coffee. So this is getting to a different level, and this is bringing more people. This is adding value, and this is creating the curiosity. But most important of all, what we need, and that's the future of instant coffee, is to bring new moments where you're gonna be or drinking or eating coffee. So you doing that, adding new moments that you can have coffee, can be in a liquid, ready to drink, can be in a mixture, can be in a cake or ice cream or a coffee jelly, whatever. We have to bring all the opportunities. And this, the only way is via the instant coffee. So that's the main purpose or the main target for the future, to bring more moments where people will be drinking or eating coffee. Well, that was what I had to present. Once again, I want to thank the Specialty Coffee Association for the time, the space they are giving us to talk a little bit about instant coffee, and especially instant coffee from Brazil. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bruno. I think that presentation encourages the consideration of alternative strategies to exporting coffee for specialty coffee producers. Bruno Giestas is the commercial director of Realcafé Solúveis do Brasil, SA, and director of Abics, Brazilian Instant Coffee Industry Association. He graduated in economics and then joined the Tristão Group in March 1986. From 1986 to 1990, he was a financial market trader at Triplic SA, a financial operation of Tristão Group in Rio de Janeiro. From 1991 to 1992, he participated in an education program in banking and risk management at Citibank Global Institute in New York. He returned to Realcafé in 1992 as a strategic planner. From 1993 to 2006, he was commercial manager of Realcafé, and from 2006 up to now, he is the commercial director. And he's now the director of the Abics Instant Coffee Association. So, Bruno, I see we have some questions from the audience already. From Silverio Governo, he would love to know how Bruno is gathering the consumer feedback.
Well, the feedback has been very good so far, because we didn't have all these promoting actions in the past. So we started this program around 3 years, and with a lot of courses, promotions on the shelves, on the market, making people trying. And it was incredible because, as I said, in Brazil, people don't know much about soluble. The shelves, they only get mainly roast and ground coffee, and there is a lack of information about instant coffee. So when we start to presenting not only to drink as a black coffee, but also all the mixtures, all the food also, not only to drink, but you have coffee to eat in some sort of way. We start to receive feedback from them of other new ways, to promote and to use the coffee. This is very interesting. In Brazil, the average consumer, I take my mother as an example, she buys roast and ground coffee and she buys instant coffee. So roast and ground coffee is to make the regular black coffee, and the instant is to add on the milk. But we have a much wider options to use the instant coffee. But today, Brazil is still 80% of the consumer, they buy to mix in the milk.
Okay. Another question, Bruno. How is instant coffee faring with the COVID-19 pandemics?
That's a good question. And what happened? That's a good graphic. Also, we received from Euromonitor. What happened? The instant coffee, I used to say, is a crisis product. So every time you have a crisis, we have usually an increase in instant coffee. Actually, instant coffee was born in a war, right? So it became popular after the Second World War. So every time we have a financial crisis, people tend to go out less, and instant coffee is in the main market is 100% consumed at home. So you at the end you have an increase, and that was not different last year. We saw an increase on the countries that were doing a lot of lockdowns. Especially in Europe and United States, and in other countries like in Asia, in Southeast Asia, other blocks, you didn't see much of those lockdowns. So we had an increase of consumption on those traditional consumers where you have the coffee at home. And now what is happening, and this graph shows a little bit, I think it's a little bit exaggerated because this is a projection. But what is happening is that the Southeast Asia countries, for example, they are facing a lot of lockdowns right now, a lot of restrictions. And they're different from Europe and different from United States. Instant coffee is mainly consumed in the streets, not at home. Usually they consume instant coffee in the sachet for 1 cup, the 3-in-1, the mix with sugar and creamer. And so what happened right now, the consumption in Asia, or at least Southeast Asia, is dropping because of this situation. And now what's going to happen is a big question. I think this graphic, again, may be a little bit drastic, the forecast, but shows a recovery. But I think right now we have like a perfect storm, right? We have the price of the raw material, the corn, they are almost double the price of last year. We have incredible increases in the oil, natural gas, inflation in general, everywhere is increasing, not only in Brazil. We had last year and still this year is going on the big drought in the Arabica region. And after the drought, we have the frost, which I thought that we would never see a frost like that again. The frost is there. It caused a damage for next year crop. It's still difficult to say how big is going to be the damage, but it's be a damage. And then, but still, we have the drought. We have no signs of rain in the Arabica. So adding on top of that, the cherry is all the problems we are faced with the logistics. Lack of container, the freight rates, they are triple, the vessels availability. This is really very complicated. I never saw so many problems at the same moment. So yes, I think consumption this year will be lower than last year. Not only in Brazil, but we see that in most of our clients. We talk to our clients in different countries, and they are also, each country, of course, with a different explanation. But I think in the countries that you had a lockdown last year, and now you're having the second or third wave, people are managing more how to still drink the roasting ground or the specialty coffee, not only the instant coffee, because they are at home. I saw a number the other day, I think was in United States, like a record of sales in machines for whole beans, for capsules. So, people, of course, a lot of people, especially young people, they had the first contact with the instant coffee when they stayed at home, because they usually most of the young generation, they drink coffee at a coffee shop or a grab to go. But I think a part of these people that tried, they still gonna keep the instant coffee habit in some time of the day. And of course, a lot of different, you see, one thing that really was like a big success was this Dalgona drink. Everywhere people are making the cream with instant coffee, and it's a nice beverage. It's visually very nice, and it's nice to drink. So those things they came also, good things also, I think, came with the pandemic.
I think we have time for one quick question from Christian. Are instant coffee companies procuring the green coffee on a differential or fixed price? How are they covering their risk and exposure during this volatile market?
Right. Yeah. The instant coffee, especially in Brazil, because most of the exports we do, 80, let's say average 80% of what we produce, we export. And we export basically to other industry or to brand owners. So we export in bulk. And usually the contracts we have, they are long contracts, like at least 6 months or up to 1 year. So we cannot afford to take the risk. So at the same time, we open a contract, we buy the conilons, and we carry the conilons in the warehouse. We cannot, doing a hedge in London is not the right way, because the conilon is kind of detached from London. So basically what we do, we make a contract, we right away, we buy all the conilon that we need to cover that contract. And at the same time, we fix the currency. So we have to deal with those two variables. Otherwise, you are exposed, because the contracts, they are really long, and especially in a moment like that, you know. So we have to guarantee the price for our client, and of course the sustainability for our business. So that's the right way to do, to be very conservative. Don't play around, especially in those moments.
Thank you, Bruno.
Thank you, Mario.